And in this video, we'll be going over IRS Notice CP79B. So before we get into this notice, let's go ahead and take a look at the top right-hand corner. You'll see the notice number, CP79B, the tax year, the notice date, January 26, 2017, Social Security number, and phone number. So I always tell people that you should pay particular close attention to the notice date. In this case, you can kind of take a look at the big print, and it shows that you don't really need to take any direct action at this time. However, it is good practice to at least know when the notice date was, particularly if you're going to try and maybe get some assistance on understanding why you got this ban placed. So, and we'll get into that in just a moment. Over here on the left-hand side, you see the taxpayer name and address fields. So I always encourage people to keep your address up to date with the Internal Revenue Service. Every year that you file your tax return, if you use a different address, the IRS goes ahead and updates your address of record with the new address. But if you're in between tax returns, or if you know that there's more IRS correspondence that should be coming to you, you'll want to make that change before you filing your next tax return. So you can do that by either calling the IRS. So if you're already going to call the IRS, the easiest way may be to just do this over the phone after you've validated your information. The other way that you can do this is to file the IRS change of address form. So for individual taxpayers, that would be IRS Form 8822. In case of business owners, that would be IRS Form 8822-B. And we'll put links in the show notes to articles and videos that we've created about all of the forms that we cover here to include the change of address forms. So let's talk a little bit about a 10-year ban on credits claimed on your tax return. So the IRS allows certain types of tax credits according to the Internal Revenue Code, and those fall into two different categories. So first category would be non-refundable tax credits, and the second category would be refundable tax credits. The primary difference is that a non-refundable tax credit allows you to bring your tax bill down to zero, but not below zero. So if you had a $1,000 tax bill, but you had a $2,000 non-refundable credit, then your tax bill would go down to zero, but then the rest of that credit would depend on what the rules are for that specific credit. Some credits you might be able to go back into prior tax years. Some credits you may be able to roll forward and save them to a future tax year. And some credits you might just lose if you can't take them in the current tax year. So that's what a non-refundable tax credit is. A refundable tax credit, such as these tax credits listed here, would allow you to bring your tax bill not only to zero, but beyond it. So that would actually create a tax refund for people in a tax year where they paid zero tax. So to use that $1,000 tax bill example, a $2,000 tax credit would not only bring that $1,000 tax bill down to zero, it would actually create a $1,000 refund. So as a result, Congress has actually passed into the tax law that the Internal Revenue Service is required to place mandatory bans on people that are deemed to have either recklessly or intentionally disregarded the tax rules or committed fraud to claim one of these refundable tax credits. So if the IRS determines that you made an intentionally, or if you intentionally disregarded the tax rules or recklessly disregarded them, then they can place a 2-year ban on you. So you would have the tax credit disallowed in the current year, and then for the next 2 tax years, you wouldn't be able to claim it at all. And then you would have to file a form called IRS Form 8862 to claim the tax credit in future tax years. In cases of fraud, that ban is 10 years. So that's what this form is about, this notice is about. And, long story short, you don't need to make any actions at this time. If you want to claim those credits in the future or after the ban expires, you'll need to make sure that you meet all the qualifying rules for the credits that you're eligible for. So, and then you would, follow these instructions. You submit IRS Form 8862. You provide the information to claim the specific tax credit that you were disallowed, and then the IRS should send you a letter either to confirm that you're allowed to start claiming that credit again or requesting additional information. So, one thing that I've learned after researching this is that the Taxpayer Advocate Service, which is technically an independent branch of the IRS, has repeatedly made public statements and done studies about the error rates for the IRS to impose either a 2-year or a 10-year ban on taxpayers. So if you feel that you were wronged, particularly if you used, say, a low-income taxpayer clinic or IRS assistance, and you still were banned from claiming a tax credit, then you should contact the Taxpayer Advocate Service for assistance. So we'll put a link in the show notes to all the forms that you can use, specifically IRS Form 911, which is the Taxpayer Assistance Request Form. So we'll put links in the show notes if you believe that you were wrongfully banned and that the IRS did not, took shortcuts to do that. And the IRS Taxpayer Advocate Service has gone into great detail outlining some of the challenges that they've seen from the IRS, particularly in the review process and in their estimation that the law is unevenly applied. So in that case, if you genuinely feel like you have a case, you should take it up with a taxpayer advocate. I'm just hitting the link in the show note in the notice just so that we can kind of take a look and see if there are any other pieces of information that you should be aware of. Not a whole lot. There are links to publications in case you wanted to dig deeper into a particular tax credit or the audit process, for example. There's some frequently asked questions about what you need to do if you disagree with the 10-year ban. You would need to request a reconsideration of the audit. So let's take a look real quick at the examination process. I'll just pull up this form right here. It's 8 pages of kind of walking you through this stuff, but it does walk you through how the IRS has audits. For example, you see these timelines, 90-day periods, so on and so forth. So if you do decide to appeal, that's where the notice date will come in handy, because once you go through the appeals process, then the IRS will become very particular on, was it 90 days from the notice date? Those things like that. So if you want to challenge this, pay particular attention to the details and follow those publications to the letter. You can also ask your accountant or your tax professional to take a look at your paperwork to see if you have a case before you spend significant amounts of time challenging the IRS. So that's all we have for this video. We'll put links in the show notes to some of the resources we've created about the forms and the topics mentioned here. So, and if you want to read any of our articles, please check out our site, teachmepersonalfinance.com. You can type in the name of the tax form, and odds are pretty likely that we've written a video or written an article about that. So subscribe to our newsletter if you're interested in those. If you like to watch our videos, simply subscribe to the YouTube channel and you can keep those coming. So, and then if you have any other questions, or if there's a topic that you'd like to see covered in an upcoming video, please hit me up in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a great day.